The rumors are spreading like wildfire across America. Whispers of a presidential executive order that could instantly boost Social Security benefits for millions of Americans. But here's what the political establishment doesn't want you to understand about this supposed miracle solution. Right now, as you're watching this, there's massive confusion sweeping through retirement communities nationwide. People are asking the same desperate question. Will the president really sign an executive order to raise our Social Security checks? The answer might shock you, and it reveals something disturbing about how our government actually operates. This year alone, we've witnessed an unprecedented wave of Social Security changes rolling out of Washington. The bureaucrats have been busy, very busy. Press releases flooding the system, policy shifts happening behind closed doors, and administrative adjustments that most Americans never even hear about. But here's what they're not telling you. A few months back, something interesting happened. The president signed what they called a memorandum on Social Security. Notice they didn't call it an executive order. That's not an accident. They use clever word games because legally they can't call it what it actually is. It's the same power, same authority, different label. Classic Washington doublespeak designed to confuse everyday Americans. But this new discussion, this talk of an executive order to raise benefits, that's where things get really interesting. Let's cut through the political noise and examine what's actually happening. Can a president independently change your Social Security benefits with the stroke of a pen? The short answer is no. And that's not opinion. That's constitutional law. Here's how the system actually works, and why the elites want to keep you confused about it. Social Security Administration itself can make certain changes, small administrative tweaks that don't require congressional approval. We've seen plenty of those this year. Remember the clawback policy flip-flop? First they reinstated 100% garnishment, then suddenly reduced it to 50%. For SSI recipients, it stayed at 10%. Confusing? Absolutely, and that's intentional. They also brought back the Treasury Offset Program, their way of clawing back money from Americans they claim were overpaid. Changes to application processes, direct deposit requirements, minor bureaucratic shuffling that affects millions but requires zero democratic input. But when it comes to actual benefit increases, when we're talking about real money in your pocket, $50 more per month, $100 more, $200 more, that's where the establishment's true power structure reveals itself. The only legal path to meaningful benefit increases runs through Congress. Not the president's desk, not Social Security Administration headquarters, Congress, the same lawmakers who spend more time fundraising than fighting for working Americans. Now here's what makes this even more infuriating. Every year, there's one automatic adjustment, the COLA increase based on third-quarter inflation data. That happens without congressional approval because it's already written into law. But anything beyond that pathetic cost-of-living crumb, that requires the political class to actually do their jobs. So when you see headlines screaming about massive executive orders coming to boost Social Security, when social media explodes with promises of presidential action to save retirement security, remember this moment. Remember what you're learning right here. The president legally cannot, sign an executive order raising your monthly Social Security benefits. Period. End of story. But here's where it gets even more revealing about how the game is really played. Remember that memorandum from earlier this year? The one they couldn't call an executive order? That actually restricted Social Security access for certain Americans. It made it harder to get benefits, not easier. While everyone was distracted by other political theater, they quietly made it more difficult for working families to access the benefits they've paid into their entire lives. Meanwhile, what have lawmakers actually proposed this year? In April, some members of Congress reintroduced legislation for a $200 monthly benefit increase. Sounds great, right? It's called the Social Security Emergency Inflation Relief Act. It's also bundled into something called the Social Security Expansion Act, championed by certain senators who love to make headlines about fighting for seniors. But here's the reality check no one wants to discuss. These bills need to pass both the House and Senate. In today's hyper-partisan Washington, what are the odds of that happening? Especially when powerful interests benefit from keeping benefits low while inflation eats away at your purchasing power year after year. The uncomfortable truth? We're completely dependent on lawmakers who spend more time posturing than problem-solving. The same political class that's allowed Social Security's long-term funding crisis to fester for decades while they kick the can down the road election after election. So when you see those viral posts promising executive order salvation, when friends share articles about presidential powers to instantly fix Social Security, now you know the truth. It's either misinformation or deliberate manipulation designed to keep you distracted from demanding real solutions from the people who actually have the power to deliver them. The system is designed to keep you confused, keep you hoping for easy answers, while the real decisions happen in backroom negotiations you'll never hear about. Think about this for a moment. While millions of Americans are scrambling to understand these executive order rumors, what's really happening behind the scenes? Here's what the mainstream media won't tell you. This confusion isn't accidental. Every time there's buzz about presidential action on Social Security, it serves as perfect cover for the real policy changes happening in the shadows. While everyone's focused on executive order fantasies, the bureaucrats are quietly implementing restrictions that actually impact your benefits. The current system creates a perfect storm of confusion. When people hear about potential benefit increases, they stop pressuring their representatives. They sit back and wait for presidential salvation that will never come. Meanwhile, Congress continues to avoid the hard decisions about Social Security's long-term solvency. It's a brilliant strategy, actually. Keep the people confused about who has the power, feed them false hope about executive solutions, and the real power, brokers can continue operating without accountability. And those lawmakers who did reintroduce the $200 monthly increase, the Social Security Emergency Inflation Relief Act, it's been sitting in committee limbo while they focus on more politically expedient issues, because actually helping seniors doesn't generate the same campaign contributions as catering to special interests. But here's what really should terrify every American approaching retirement. The window for real Social Security reform is rapidly closing. The trust fund depletion date keeps getting closer, and instead of honest solutions, we get political theater and executive order fantasies. When the crisis hits, and it will hit, the solutions will be far more painful than anything being discussed today, but there's something else they don't want you to know. Something about what's really coming next that could change everything for Social Security recipients. The timing is no coincidence, and the implications go far beyond just benefit amounts. Don't forget to subscribe for the truth they don't want you to hear. Hit that like button if this opened your eyes, and drop a comment with your thoughts on this Social Security shell game, because what's happening next will determine the financial security of every American over 65. And the signs are already there if you know where to look.